Hi, my name is Stephanie Wills, and this is my district activities slideshow. The first standard that I chose for my district activities was Standard 1, Mission, Vision, and Improvement. It correlated with 1.2C, which is the school leader will develop an implementation plan to support the improvement process. In my own words, this means understanding and demonstrating the ability to implement improvement processes that include data, design, implementation, and evaluation. The activity that I chose for this standard was the case study, Who Should Create the School's Vision? This is a YouTube video that evaluates this case study about writing the school's vision and the steps that I would go through if I were making the decisions. I chose this activity because it is a real life scenario and it helped me walk through the steps that I needed to make those decisions. I really enjoyed the case studies at the end of each class because it did just that, gave me those real life situations that I'm going to encounter as an administrator and help me walk through those, reflect, plan ahead, and kind of make decisions on that. This activity correlates to the standard because I developed a plan to implement policies and procedures that will support the improvement process of developing a vision statement. This activity took place May 7th, 2022, and took me about 4 hours to complete. The impact of this activity on me as an administrator is it is important for an administrator to be able to communicate with others and develop policies and procedures that will lead to positive improvement. It is also important to understand the vision of your organization or school so you can share that vision with others and adhere to it. And as I reflect on that as an administrator, the video really helped me think about the steps that I can go through when making decisions and how important communication is with all stakeholders. It also made me think about the importance of the vision statement. This is something that I also have started doing when we have new staff is going over our vision statement and our mission statement and really explaining it to them and helping them understand what our goals, what we're working towards. And then I've also used this information during staff meetings. We look at our mission and our vision statement frequently, make sure that it still adheres to what we're working towards and our goals. And it's really important to look at that frequently and make sure that you're still on the road that you want to be on. Oops, sorry about that. The next activity that I chose was under Standard 2, Ethics and Professional Norms. This activity went under 2.2C. The school leader will develop a communication plan to advocate for ethical decisions. In my own words, it means to me that the school leader communicates plans that advocate for ethical decisions. That one's kind of a hard one to say in your own words because there's not much there to say, so right to the point. The activity that I chose for this standard was at our organization, I helped develop a fraud whistleblower policy. This policy was developed this year to address fraud and to give specific guidelines on what to do if you suspect such things. This activity was selected because it was something new that I worked on this year. I learned a lot from my classes throughout the whole year, and every time I would learn something new, I would bring that to my executive director, and we would talk about things and how we could incorporate those into our school organization. And we did not have a written fraud whistleblower policy in our handbook, and so we thought that was something that was really, really important to put into our policies. This policy correlates to this standard because it gives specific information about fraud and what to do if it occurs or is suspected. We met several times, developed this policy, and then implemented it into our handbook. We got this finished July 1, 2022. Took us about 3 hours to complete. How does this impact me as an administrator? It's important to have specific policies in place to address fraud or misconduct, and it's important that these policies are upheld. And so as I reflect as an administrator, I feel like it's really important for my staff to be aware of the expectations and policies that are used to uphold ethical decisions and behavior. It is also important for those policies to be enforced when something happens. We have added this fraud whistleblower policy to our handbook, and it is something we go over during our onboarding and orientation of new staff. These are the kind of norms and expectations that we put out right at the very beginning when we have new staff so they understand what's expected of them as they work with us and here at our organization and school. The next standard that I did an activity for was Standard 3, Equity, Inclusiveness, and Cultural Responsiveness. I chose Standard 3.2b. The school leader will cultivate the equitable use of educational resources and opportunities through procedures, guidelines, norms, and values. In my own words, it means the administrator will prepare resources and opportunities through guidelines, procedures, and norms and values. The activity that I chose for this was job descriptions. So one thing we did this year was we rewrote all of our job descriptions to be more specific and to use inclusive, equitable language. I chose this project because it was a project we worked really hard on this last summer. There were a lot of collaboration between administrators and working on getting inclusive and equitable language in our job descriptions. We spent a lot of time going over the job descriptions. In my role, I have teachers, SLPs, OTs, PTs, social workers, and nurses. So we rewrote the job descriptions for all of those. This activity correlates to the standard because rewording the job descriptions offers opportunities to include norms and values that we want in place around inclusive and equitable language. This was completed June 1st, 2022. It took about 6 hours, as I said. There were a lot of job descriptions to rewrite. And we worked together as administrators and talked about how we wanted to do that, and then went off and wrote them. How does this impact me? These are new job descriptions we have on our website, and they're things that I pass out at job fairs, so it really impacted me right away. As soon as we got them done, there were things I was using. And as I reflect as an administrator, job descriptions seem like a little thing that's not going to impact much, but when you start with people seeing the norms and values that are represented from the beginning, it makes a big impact. People begin to understand the importance of creating opportunities that are equitable and inclusive, and they can transfer the information, procedures, and the small things to the big things. So they are very, very important. And like I said, it's very important to start off with people understanding as they come into your school or organization the expectations. And when they come in knowing that, then it's easier to follow through and to uphold those. The next standard that I worked on for my district activities was Standard 5, Community and External Leadership. I chose Standard 5.1a. The school leader will gather information about family demographics and funds of knowledge available within students' families that can be assessed to enhance student learning. In my own words, this means administrators gather information about families that can be helpful and used to enhance student learning. The activity that I used for this was a YouTube video, Understanding My Community. This video, I used one of the communities for our RCDC. We cover 13 Western counties, and so I used one of our bigger communities, which is Garden City, and it was really helpful. I was able to look at the family demographics in our community, cost of living, educational background for most of the community members, job opportunities, etc. A lot of information I was able to see and find. And why I chose this activity is I thought this project was really important in learning more about my community and how our resources affect our families and their opportunities. Although the standard specifies families, the community information can tell me a lot about the demographics of those families, where they're living, where they're working. And although I didn't per se ask the families themselves, gathering the information about the community was very helpful. How does this activity correlate to the standard? This activity correlates because I can learn about family demographics through community data. This information also helps me support the students and their families. If I'm understanding where a lot of our community members are working, that can really help me think about things at the school. For example, if I know a lot of our community members work at Tyson, I know they have a lot of different shifts. So understanding those shifts and then offering opportunities at the school during those times when families are off can be really important. So understanding your community is really, really important. This activity occurred January 3rd, 2022. It took me about 6 hours to go through all this information. How does this information impact me now? I learned a lot about the families living in my town by doing research about our community and looking at the community data. It's important to understand what languages are spoken in my community, the income, the work opportunities, all of those things impact what I do on a daily basis with students and staff. And as I reflect upon that, it's important as an administrator to learn about the students' families and the community. Learning about families, their culture, language, demographics, etc. can be very helpful in supporting the students in their learning. It's important to build relationships with families and community partners And having them come into the school to share their experiences or expertise in an area can be a great learning opportunity for everyone. Having families that maybe work at a different career opportunities, or maybe a family from a different culture coming in and having them talk to classes can be a really great learning experience for everyone. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm going to move on to my next slide. For some reason, it keeps starting that. Sorry about that. The next activity I'm going to talk about is goes with Standard 6, Operations and Management. This one goes under 6.3c. The school leader will communicate policies, laws, regulations, and procedures to appropriate school stakeholders. In my own words, the administrator will keep school stakeholders informed about policies, laws, regulations, and procedures. This activity was the YouTube video, Religion in School. This video discussed the laws and religion in schools and what activities are permitted and what activities are not permitted. Why did I choose this activity? I chose this one because I think it's a hard subject to discuss with many people, and it's important to be knowledgeable about the laws and regulations regarding religion in school. It is also important for administrators to be able to explain the policies to the different stakeholders so everyone understands why you're doing things, how you're doing things. How did this activity correlate with the standard? This activity correlates because administrators need to be able to explain the laws, regulations, and policies. This activity was completed November 7th, 2021. It took about 3 hours. What impact does it have on me now? I need to know the laws about religion about the regulations regarding religion in the school so I can share that information with staff and other stakeholders as needed. And as I reflect as an administrator, it's important for me to understand the laws and regulations regarding religion in school so I can make informed decisions and explain the laws to my staff. It is also important for students and staff to understand what activities or actions are allowable in the school pertaining to religion. It might be important for me to look at our policies and see if we need to add or change anything. This is also information that I need to share with new staff during new staff training and onboarding. This is all of the information that I have and all the activities that I did for my district activities. Thank you for listening.